Greetings, I'm Deanna, and I hope this message finds you well and happy. I'm currently in a joyous phase of my life, having overcome some challenging times. My mental health has significantly improved, and my relationship with my husband, Terry, is stronger than ever. With Terry's encouragement, since he finds such tales amusing and thought it'd be great for me to share mine, I wanted to open up to you all about our journey together. It all started right after I graduated from college and landed a fantastic job. Terry was already working there and soon became not only a colleague but a friend. He was more experienced and took the time to mentor me, which helped me a lot professionally. A year after I joined, Terry accepted a better position at another company. Although I was sad to see him leave, he surprised me by asking me out shortly after his move. I was ecstatic. However, Terry had a caveat. He confessed that he had hesitated to ask me out earlier because he had a major crush on me during our time as co-workers, but didn't act on it due to his circumstances. It wasn't the company's HR policies that deterred him. He was more concerned about his past experiences with relationships, specifically his mother, who had a history of interfering in his and his brother Mason's relationships, often to their detriment. Terry explained that he wanted to be sure of his feelings before potentially involving me in this complex family dynamic. At first, I didn't take his warnings about his mother too seriously. I grew up in a nurturing environment where I was taught to see the best in people. However, meeting his family was an eye-opener. Sarah, his mother, was openly hostile towards me, while his father, Bradley, and his brother, Mason, were warm and welcoming. I'm sharing this story to show that despite the tough beginnings and the challenges posed by external factors, with love, patience, and a bit of humor, relationships can thrive. Terry's support has been unwavering, and together, we've navigated through these complexities to build a strong and happy life. Thank you for letting me share this with you. But dealing with Sarah was a whole different story. She confronted me with harsh words saying, "Now that you're dating my son, don't think you've reached the pinnacle of success. Terry has his priorities straight. His family and I come first." I respect that, Sarah, and I would never demand more attention from him than he can give, I replied, trying to keep the peace. Oh, please. I've dealt with many women like you. Have you ever asked Terry how I saved him from his exes? I've made Mason's terrible exes disappear too. It wouldn't take me a second to do the same with you, she retorted sharply. Sarah's outburst was shocking, but before I could respond, Bradley stepped in. Sarah, what's wrong with you? You can't talk to Diana like that. She loves our son and he loves her. You should show her some respect. Mom, boasting about breaking up our past relationships isn't something to be proud of. You know what you did wasn't right. Besides, you can't just speak to Diana like that. She's a wonderful person and doesn't deserve your hostility, Terry added, defending me. Sarah snapped back. I can see Diana is already filling your head with ideas. Don't let her pull you away from your mother. And you, Terry and Mason, should be grateful I drove away the wrong people from your lives. No one can be as important as me. Her words left me stunned. Despite Terry, Bradley, and Mason's attempts to moderate her tirade, nothing seemed to hold her back. When she finally took a break and retreated to the kitchen, Bradley and Mason both apologized profusely on her behalf. I'm so sorry, Diana. Sarah has always been like this, and I truly have no idea how to rein her in. She has been incredibly rude to you, and I hate that she treats you this way, Bradley lamented. Bradley, you don't have to apologize for her. None of this is your fault or Mason's. Both of you have been incredibly kind to me, and that means a lot, I reassured them. Mason then cautioned me, Diana, don't underestimate our mom. She can be harsh. We've had many such experiences in the past. We all like you and don't want you to break up with Terry. Just keep in mind not to let Sarah win, no matter what she does. His and Bradley's words were a reminder of the family dynamics I was stepping into. Over time, Sarah tried everything to break Terry and me apart. including branding me as a fortune hunter. Thankfully, Terry and I were well aware of her tactics, which made it easier for us to stand strong together and keep our relationship intact against her divisive efforts. Sarah frequently criticized my appearance, my job, and even my weight. Terry and I attempted to address these issues with her, but Sarah never acknowledged her wrongdoing. Each time we confronted her, she accused me of trying to insult and embarrass her, claiming she was only trying to protect her son. "Diana, you're just jealous of me," she would retort. "I'm not jealous of you, Sarah. How could I be jealous of Terry's mother? That's absurd. You're just trying to dodge your role in attempting to sabotage our relationship," I replied, frustrated by her baseless accusations. Sarah continued, unrelenting, "I'm doing this to protect my son. He needs to see what a terrible fortune hunter you are. I'm pretty sure you're seeing multiple people and are only using Terry for his money. You're not even attractive. I won't let a loser like you ruin my son." "Mom, that's too much," Terry intervened. "Everything you're saying is false. I'm tired of hearing you insult Diana. She's a good person and I love her. Please don't do this to us." However, Sarah's behavior only worsened over time. She started to call Terry daily as a way to mock our relationship and constantly filled his head with negative things about me. Occasionally, when Terry and I argued, he initially sided with his mother, but he always came to realize his mistake and apologized. This pattern was one of the key reasons I still chose to marry him. Although Sarah was extremely displeased with our marriage, the rest of the in-laws were thrilled. Surprisingly, getting married only made Sarah more antagonistic. I believe she was shocked that I stayed with Terry despite her efforts. She continued to harass both of us over the years, although she maintained regular contact with Terry, claiming she missed him. This didn't bother me much, as she gradually became less dramatic and somewhat civil during family gatherings. It turns out that Bradley had a serious talk with Sarah, even threatening to leave her if she didn't alter her behavior. This seemed to have made an impact, and I enjoyed a period of relative peace until Terry and I hit a difficult phase. We were devastated by an unexpected miscarriage, and the tragedy strained our communication. We fought frequently and even discussed divorce, as Terry struggled to cope with the situation. However, after a few days of reflection, Terry came to a realization. Terry approached me with remorse in his eyes. "I'm so sorry for being distant, Diana. I should have been more supportive. You were hurting, and I acted poorly." "It's okay, Terry. I know you were hurting too. It just broke my heart when you mentioned divorce. I had never considered it before, and hearing you say it hurt me deeply," I responded, feeling the weight of our strained relationship. "I can't tell you how sorry I am. I know this doesn't excuse my behavior, but I need to be honest. I wasn't the one who brought up divorce first. It was actually my mom who kept pushing for it," Terry confessed. His admission made me uneasy. "Diana, there's something else I need to tell you. Is Sarah trying to ruin our marriage again?" "You're right, Diana. She has been calling me daily, filling my head with negativity about you. I was vulnerable and couldn't see her true intentions, but now it's clear she was trying to manipulate me again," Terry revealed, his voice filled with frustration. He hesitated, then offered, "I've recorded the calls. Do you want to listen?" Curious and a bit apprehensive, I decided to listen to what Sarah had been saying. The recordings were shocking. She berated me for the miscarriage and suggested to Terry that he should divorce me. Instead of supporting her son, she attacked his vulnerabilities, trying to push him toward a decision that would end our marriage. I was furious after hearing the recordings, and Terry looked equally disturbed. "What my mom said is absolutely unforgivable. I don't even know if I can forgive myself for not seeing through her sooner, but I am willing to cut contact with her for good," Terry declared firmly. "I agree, Terry. I tolerated her because she was family, but this time she went too far." I can't forgive her for this, I stated resolutely. We don't need to see or talk to her again. I don't want her around either. I'll go and tell her she's not part of our lives anymore. But I don't think that's enough, I continued, thinking about how Sarah had misled other family members. She convinced Bradley and Mason that she had changed. I want to expose her true nature to them. I'll show them the recordings at our next family dinner. This decision felt right. It was time for everyone to see the real Sarah and to protect our marriage from further damage. We needed to stand united and clear about our boundaries, especially with family. Determined to reveal Sarah's true character, Terry and I crafted a plan to expose her manipulations. He continued to engage in conversations with her, recording each one as she relentlessly disparaged me. Each call was a fresh wave of vitriol, targeting our marriage's vulnerabilities. It was painful to hear her calculated attacks, knowing how she aimed to tear us apart. Terry, although distressed, defended me against her onslaughts, but his efforts seemed to barely scratch the surface of her resolve to see our marriage fail. The day to unveil Sarah's manipulations finally came. We painstakingly compiled the most damning parts of her recorded conversations into a cohesive audio montage. Before setting out to his parents' house, I checked with Terry once more to confirm his resolve. His determination matched mine. This time, Sarah was going to face the consequences. We kept our plan secret until we arrived at the family dinner. From the moment we entered, Sarah began her usual routine, hurling hurtful remarks about my life and making everyone visibly uncomfortable. Despite the sting of her words, I endured, knowing the revelation that awaited. Dinner passed in an uneasy silence, punctuated by Sarah's snide comments aimed at undermining me in front of everyone. Bradley tried his best to intervene, but his efforts did little to deter her. As the meal concluded and the table was cleared, I knew it was time to shift the evening's focus. With everyone gathered, I began, "Now that we've finished dinner, there's something important I need to discuss with all of you." Sarah scoffed, interrupting me. "You don't need to hype this up, Diana. We all know your talks are pointless. Just say what you want and stop wasting our time." Bradley, however, supported me. "Let her speak, Sarah. You're being incredibly rude. This is not how we treat family." With the room's attention and with Bradley's encouragement, I felt empowered to proceed. It was time to unveil the truth about Sarah's relentless attempts to sabotage not just my relationship with Terry, but the peace of our family. I prepared to play the recordings, ready to expose the reality of Sarah's destructive influence once and for all. "Why so impatient, Sarah? You took your time talking to Terry about me, didn't you?" "Don't worry, I won't take months to finish my talk. It'll just be a few minutes," I said, gathering my resolve in the face of Sarah's evident frustration. "Go ahead, Diana. We're all listening," encouraged Bradley, clearly interested in what I had to say. "Well, I've encountered some very disturbing issues that I believe we all need to be aware of and discuss together. But before we start, I'd like to play a few recordings," I explained, my voice steady despite the tension. With Terry's approving nod, I took a deep breath to steady myself. Sarah had a knack for unsettling me, but I was determined to remain composed. Recalling all the hurtful things she had said about me, I pressed the play button on my phone, letting the recordings fill the room. Silence fell after the recordings ended. Bradley and Mason looked shocked, while Sarah seemed furiously indignant. Her reaction was unexpected. I thought she might appear scared or even remorseful, but she was visibly angry. Glancing at Terry, I saw confusion mirrored in his expression. Neither of us had anticipated her reaction. Before anyone else could respond, Sarah erupted. "This is ridiculous. Why the hell did you play my private conversations for everyone? Diana, you had no right to snoop on what I discussed with my son. You're a shameless girl. I can't believe your audacity." "Don't worry about that, Sarah. Terry approved it before I showed everyone. He's the one who helped make these recordings," I replied calmly. countering her outrage with the truth. "There's no way my son would betray me like that. You're just jealous of the close relationship I have with Terry, trying to poison us against each other," Sarah accused wildly. "Terry, I'm so sorry your wife violated our privacy like this," she continued, turning to her son with a plea. "Mom, she had my permission to share these recordings with everyone. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm done with you," Terry interjected firmly, standing by my side. "I truly never realized just how much you were trying to destroy my marriage." "How can you say that about me? I have done nothing wrong. I was simply talking to my son." Sarah defended herself, her tone desperate. "Is that so, Sarah? Do these recordings sound like normal conversations to you?" Terry questioned, challenging her denial with the evidence that had just been laid bare for all to hear. "No one here could believe you weren't trying to break us up, Sarah. You've been trying to isolate Terry and take him away from me," I said, laying bare her intentions to everyone in the room. "See, everyone, I always knew Diana would destroy our family," Sarah shot back. A tense silence followed her accusation. I could see the frustration etched on Terry, Bradley, and even Mason's faces. Their anger was almost palpable. Sarah, meanwhile, looked annoyed but tried to appear shocked by my words. Then Terry confronted his mother directly, his voice firm and resolute. "You dare to accuse Diana of destroying our family? You're the one who has been trying to destroy my marriage, Mom. You've been actively working against your own son's happiness. You guys have to believe me. I only had good intentions. Diana is putting ideas into your head." Sarah defended herself weakly. "I can't believe you're turning this around on Diana because she exposed you, Mom. You told me I should divorce my wife and move back home. How can you claim you had good intentions?" Terry retorted. "Sarah, I was only looking out for you. I didn't want you to be unhappy. I know Diana is a terrible wife and your marriage is ruined," she persisted, unwilling to back down. "Mom, I told you I'm perfectly happy in my marriage. How dare you say Diana is a bad wife? If anyone is trying to ruin my marriage, it's you," Terry countered, his frustration growing. "I'm done with you, Mom. I don't want you anywhere near me or my wife. We have gone through enough already. Leave us alone," Terry declared, drawing a line. Hearing this, Sarah burst into tears, unable to believe that her son would stand up to her in such a way to protect me. She pleaded with Terry to listen and understand her reasons, but in her distress, she continued ranting about how terrible I was and insisting she had been right all along. That's when Bradley, my father-in-law, finally intervened. "Enough is enough, Sarah. I have tolerated your insane jealousy towards Diana for too long. It was my mistake not to address it sooner. You need to apologize to Diana and stay out of Terry's life." "What are you saying, Bradley? I will not apologize to that monster, Diana. How can you ask me to apologize? She's trying to ruin my family," Sarah protested vehemently. "You are the one trying to ruin this family, Sarah. For years you have meddled in and messed up your son's relationships. You are responsible for the numerous breakups and the distress in Terry's life. It's time you recognize that," Bradley countered firmly, finally taking a stand against her destructive behavior. The revelation of Sarah's actions had a profound impact on the family, especially on Mason. "I always hoped you would change, but you never did," he said to his mother, his voice filled with disappointment. "Dad is right, Mom. You can't deny that you've chased away every girl Terry and I brought home. We trusted you because you're our mother, but now it's clear you just wanted to control us. How can you be so cruel to your sons?" "There's no use talking to Mom about this," Mason continued, addressing his brother. "I've already tried to stop her and change her ways, but she never listened." Amid the heated discussion, Sarah, feeling cornered, lashed out, "You are all blaming me for what Diana did. I will never forgive you for this. Diana, I can see why God made you infertile. It's His way of punishing you." Her harsh words stunned everyone in the room. The cruelty of her tirade was shocking, and as she broke down crying, trying to play the victim, the atmosphere thickened with tension. Terry looked like he was on the edge, ready to explode, while Mason exchanged a significant look with his father. In a moment of quiet authority, Bradley stood and made his decision known. "That's it, Sarah. That was the last straw. I cannot be with someone so vile and disgusting. I've failed to protect my sons from your toxicity, but I will not tolerate it any longer. I will file for separation. I'm done with you as well." "You are dead to me, Mom," Mason added, his voice firm. "Like Terry, I don't want you near me either. You've tried to poison me against my girlfriend, but now that I've seen how far you can go, I'll protect myself and my future fiancé. Stay away from us." Driven to a frenzy by the confrontation, Sarah became enraged. She started screaming and hurling insults, completely losing control. In her rage, she pushed me into the kitchen cabinet, causing physical pain. At that point, Bradley took decisive action and called the police. Mason and Terry restrained Sarah, holding her back as she continued to scream and lash out until the police arrived and took her away in handcuffs. The aftermath of the ordeal was tough for all of us. In the following months, Terry, Mason, Bradley, and I had to navigate the emotional fallout. Initially wanting only a separation, Bradley ultimately filed for divorce. Sarah's behavior worsened in jail. She became increasingly desperate, crying and begging to see her husband and sons. The family was left to rebuild and heal from the deep wounds Sarah had inflicted. Sarah remained unapologetic about her actions. So, bolstered by everyone's support, I decided to press charges against her. According to our lawyer, it looks like she's facing a significant period in prison starting next month. No one is stepping forward to post bail for her, so she will remain in jail until her trial. In the meantime, the rest of us have taken legal steps to ensure our safety. Both Terry and Mason, concerned for the well-being of their partners, secured restraining orders against Sarah. This was a necessary measure to protect us from any potential harm she might cause in the future. Bradley is also moving forward with his divorce from Sarah. His lawyer has assured him that the process will be expedited, given the circumstances. Fortunately, Sarah cannot claim any alimony due to a post-nuptial agreement they signed years ago. It turns out Bradley had doubts about their marriage early on, which led them to arrange this postnup. This agreement stipulates that Sarah will receive no financial support from Bradley and will need to find employment once she is released from jail. This situation has been heart-wrenching for Bradley, who has spent most of his life with Sarah. It's a difficult transition, seeing someone he was so close to become someone he needed to protect himself from. We are all rallying around him, offering our support as he navigates this painful time. Together, we are recovering and rebuilding from the turmoil Sarah caused, striving to move past the upheaval and find peace again.